Hello students, I welcome you all to Educrat IAS Academy's initiative Edu-Samiksha, wherein we will be discussing some news with respect to UPSC Prelims and Mains perspective for the date 24th September 2025. So let us start with our discussion. So the first topic that we're going to take up is manual scavenging in India. Alright, so manual scavenging. अब manual scavenging जैसे हम लोगों को मालूम है कि this has been legally banned, but this is still remains a grave concern for our society. अभी रिसेंटली क्या हुआ कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने दिल्ली पीडब्ल्यूडी पर 5 लाख का फाइन लगाया. क्यों लगाया? बिकॉज they were deploying the sewer workers without protective gear. अब ये किसको वायलेट करता है? इट इज वायलेटिंग आर्टिकल्स 21 एंड 23, जो कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक केस था डॉक्टर बलराम सिंह वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया केस इन 2023, जहां पे इन्होंने रीअफर्म किया था. ऑलराइट, नाउ अगर हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डायमेंशन की बात करें, सो आर्टिकल 14, 17, 21, 23, what these are ensuring? These are ensuring equality, dignity, right to life and prohibit untouchability and forced labor. अगर हम 243 आर्टिकल 243W की बात करें, so what it is doing? It is basically assigning the responsibility to municipalities for sanitation, right? अब कुछ laws देख लेते हैं. So the first law that came for the manual scavenging was in 1993. वो कौन सा law था? Employment of manual scavengers and construction of dry latrines Prohibition Act 1993. अब इसका aim क्या था? The aim is basically to ban manual scavenging, but what happened? The enforcement was very weak. Next law कौन सा है? Prohibition of employment as manual scavengers and their Rehabilitation Act 2023. So what were the provisions of this act? So the first was basically to prohibit manual scavenging in all forms, right? Then second is to recognize the rehabilitation as a right for manual scavengers. Third was to make offenses cognizable and non-bailable. So these were the provisions for the second law. Third, अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्या क्या डायरेक्टिव दिया इन बलराम सिंह केस में? So the first directive that Supreme Court gave was the fresh survey. Fresh survey क्यों? Because there has been a gap of count. There has been a count gap. Second, 100% mechanization होना चाहिए. Third क्या किया? Protective gear is must for manual scavengers. Then उसके बाद rehabilitation and compensation, it is a constitutional right for the manual scavengers. Then education and scholarship for the children of people involved in manual scavenging. And apart from this, there has to be a central portal for real-time tracking of deaths and rehabilitation. So these all are the provisions that has been given by Supreme Court directives in Dr. Balram Singh case. So अगर हम स्टेटस की बात करें, करंट स्टेटस की बात करें ऑफ मैनुअल स्कैवेंजिंग, सो 732 आउट ऑफ 706 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स they have officially declared that they are manual scavenging free in 2024. पर उसके बावजूद भी around 58,000 of manual scavengers are identified by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. अब ये क्या दिखाता है? अब ये दोनों डेटास दिखाते हैं there has been a gap with respect to data. अब ये डेटा में गैप क्यों आता है? बिकॉज ऑफ द अंडर रिपोर्टिंग. अब ये मैनुअल स्कैवेंजिंग अभी तक क्यों परसिस्ट कर रहा है? सो द फर्स्ट मेजर रीजन इज कास्ट गैप, राइट? कास्ट बायस. सो देयर आर फ्यू कास्ट जैसे वाल्मीकिस, मडिगास, हेलास, दे आर बीइंग ट्रैप्ड बाय स्टिग्मा डिस्पाइट द सेफगार्ड्स. नाउ poverty, अगर हम poverty की बात करें, so there is a lack of livelihood opportunities because of this manual scavenging is still persisting. Then there has been poor mechanization. अगर थोड़ा बहुत mechanization हो भी रहा है, then that is limited to the urban areas, right? Then there has been weak enforcement of the provisions or the laws, and because of the contractual system, the responsibilities are getting shifted and that reduces the accountability. So all these reasons are because of basically because of this manual scavenging is still persisting. Then if we talk about the health social and economic dimension. So the first concern is health dimension. Why health dimension? Because manual scavenging में क्या होता है कि there has been an exposure to toxic gases and that leads to diseases and deaths. So in 2018 में around 400 severe deaths has been reported. Now social stigma जैसे it linked to untouchability and families may face exclusion in housing, education and marriage. Then there has been economic issues जैसे low wages, lack of livelihood opportunities, lack of alternate opportunities. So all these are basically the economic problem. Now gender dimension. अगर हम gender dimension की बात करें, then many women who are involved in rural dry latrine cleaning, they face caste gender discrimination, harassment and wage gaps. अगर हम psychological impact की बात करें, so this stigma, what it is doing, it is basically causing depression and anxiety among the people. Now, what are the government and civil society initiatives? So there has been various schemes introduced by the government, जैसे सफाई मित्र सुरक्षा चैलेंज, स्वच्छता अभियान ऐप, राष्ट्रीय गरिमा अभियान, NCSK, स्वच्छता उद्यमी मिशन, उद्यमी योजना, नमस्ते स्कीम इन 2022. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस देयर हैज बीन टेक्नोलॉजिकल इंटरवेंशन, जैसे काफी रोबोट्स वगैरह लाए गए. फॉर एग्जांपल बांडीकुट रोबोट्स, एंडोबॉट, रोबोट ड्रेन सिस्टम, वैक्यूम ट्रक्स फॉर मैकेनाइजेशन विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू सीवर क्लीनिंग. Then civil society, कुछ NGOs, for example सफाई कर्मचारी आंदोलन, they are basically pushing for total eradication of the manual scavenging. Now, what are the challenges in eradication? So the first is lack of funding for municipalities to mechanize. Then there has been poor interconnected coordination, interdepartmental coordination. Then there has been resistance from contractors. क्यों? क्योंकि they are having vested interest in this. Then social stigma की अगर बात करें, then rehabilitated persons, they are struggling to integrate into alternative jobs. And there has been an absence of reliable pan-India database of affected families. So all these are challenges in eradication. Now, what could be the way forward? So first, what we need to ensure the 100% mechanization of sanitation, right? Then law enforcement, there should be strict law enforcement with respect to manual scavenging. Rehabilitation, this should ensure the training, provide training under PM Daksh program. Then social security, we also need to ensure the health insurance scheme, pensions and education support for the people involved in manual scavenging. And apart from this, we also need to provide awareness or to raise awareness among the local people against caste based discrimination and promote the community driven rehabilitation. So manual scavenging is basically, it is a caste based human rights violation, and this is why this is persisting. This is persisting because of low mechanization, weak enforcement and lack of accountability. So the Supreme Court's directive in 2023, it is stressing upon technological intervention, accountability and rehabilitation to end it, and thereby ensuring the dignity, constitutional morality and truly Swachh Bharat. So with this, let us see one mains question. Despite constitutional safeguards and multiple legislations, manual scavenging continues to persist in India. Critically examine the reasons for its persistence. Also suggest a multi-pronged strategy to eradicate this practice in light of the Supreme Court's 2023 directives in Dr. Balram Singh versus Union of India case. So what you can do, you can attempt the question and write the answer framework in the comment box. Now let us see the second topic for the day. So the second topic that we're going to take up is fusion power. So fusion, we know that it is the holy grail of clean energy. क्यों? क्योंकि जितने भी sun and stars हैं, they are basically using the fusion power to light up their energy. Now it is there is a difference between fusion and fission. So there are two terms, fusion and fission. So we're going to understand the difference between fusion and fission in details, but for the timing, just know that fission is basically breaking up of bigger atom into smaller atoms, whereas fusion is joining of two smaller atoms to make a bigger atoms. So in both the process, there is a release of massive amount of energy, right? And why this is in news? So today we're going to talk about the fusion. Okay, now why it is in news? Because Institute of Plasma Research in Gandhinagar, it has unveiled a roadmap for developing fusion power, and this is in aligned with ITER project in France, on for which India is also a part. Okay, now let us talk about the fission versus fusion. Now, what is fission? Fission, as I've already told you, if it is a bigger atom of, let's suppose, uranium or plutonium, it is disintegrating into smaller atoms. So this is called fission. So in this case, this fission is basically used in nuclear power plants, and it produces radioactive waste and has safety concerns. But if we talk about fusion, now if you're talking about, then these are smaller atoms of, let's suppose, hydrogen isotopes, then these are combining to form a bigger atom. So in this case, it produces no high level radioactive waste, is safer, and also releases far more energy than fission. So fusion reactors can potentially provide a limitless clean energy for if it is developed successfully. All right. Now, what is India's fusion power plant? So India is basically developing steady state superconducting tokamak, which we call SST1. So India is running SST1. It is a research reactor at IPR. What it is using? It is using a magnetic confinement to heat plasma up to 100 million degrees Celsius. What is the aim? The aim is to achieve a sustained fusion reaction and generate net electricity. All right. If we talk about the roadmap for 2060, so by 2040, we are planning to demonstrate a prototype fusion plant. And by 2060, we are aiming to achieve a full-scale fusion power station with 20 to 250 megawatt output. Now, if you talk about the global context, or globally अगर हम बात करें, so ITR project France में, it is basically the largest global experiment, and India is a full-time member of it. Now, JET Tokamak UK, it has achieved 67% of energy break-even in 2021. East Tokamak in China, it is operating plasma for 1056 seconds in 2022, which is again a major breakthrough in terms of fusion reaction. Then in 2025, what happened in Westmac Tokamak, France, it achieved a record of 22 minutes of plasma maintenance, right? So all these things, this is basically showing the fusion's progress, but commercial viability is still a long way to go. Now, what are the challenges? So the first challenge that we're going to talk about is scientific challenge. अगर हम scientific challenge की बात करें, so maintaining this 100 million degrees Celsius temperature is a very big challenge. Now, apart from this, designing superconducting magnets, it requires a huge investment in research and development sector. Now, economic challenge. अगर economic challenge में जैसे fusion requires massive investment in R&D, and also the commercial electricity from fusion will be costlier than solar and wind energy in near future. अगर हम technological challenges की बात करें, then the scaling up of experimental devices to commercial power plants, this is again one of the major technological challenges. Apart from this, efficiently extracting electricity from fusion reaction is again a major challenge that we are facing right now. Now, what are the India's technological and policy steps? अब इंडिया ने क्या कौन से policy steps लिए हैं? First one is membership in ITER. अब ये क्या provide कर रहा है? This is basically providing India access to cutting edge technologies, right? Then Namaste Scheme 2022. It is basically what it is doing. It funds support in fusion R&D. Then third one is IPR Gandhinagar's roadmap, जो हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था. इट इज बेसिकली अलाइनिंग इंडियाज नेट जीरो टारगेट बाय 2070. अब ये फ्यूजन इंडिया के लिए क्यों मैटर करता है? क्योंकि हम लोगों को मालूम है कि इंडिया इज करंटली इंपोर्टिंग 80% ऑफ इट्स एनर्जी. तो अगर ये फ्यूजन सक्सेसफुली क्रिएट होता है, देन दैट विल प्रोवाइड एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी, right? And it will be a long term solution. Then climate goals, India is planning to achieve the net zero by 2070, so it will help in achieving the climate goal. Apart from this, if we talk about the geopolitical edge, then अगर इंडिया स्टार्टिंग में ही फ्यूजन R&D में इन्वेस्ट करता है, so that will give India an edge over other countries in terms of fusion reaction. Then clean and safe, there is no carbon emission, and there will be no Fukushima type nuclear accidents. So what could be the way forward? So the first major way forward is to accelerate the research and development, and for that we need more funding, right? Then international cooperation, we can cooperate with countries like European Union, USA, Japan, China with respect to fusion reaction. Then we also can promote the public private partnership, so that India can encourage startups in robotics, AI and advanced materials for fusion. Apart from this, there is a need for skilled workforce, so we need to train engineers and scientists in fusion technology. Then there also has to be a balance of energy mix, because फ्यूजन शुड कॉम्प्लीमेंट रिन्यूएबल एनर्जीज जैसे विंड हो गया, सोलर हो गया, जियोथर्मल हो गया, एंड देयर आर एंड अदर टाइप्स ऑफ रिन्यूएबल एनर्जीज. सो फ्यूजन पावर, इट इज नॉट अ शॉर्ट टर्म सोल्यूशन, बट इट इज अ लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट इन फ्यूचर ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटी. अब चैलेंज क्या है इंडिया के लिए कि there are various challenges that we have already discussed, but India's roadmap through IPR Gandhinagar, it basically reflecting a strategic vision. और अगर हम इसको अचीव कर लेते हैं, then India can lead in next generation clean energy, thereby ensuring the sustainability, self-reliance and dignity in the development journey. Now with this, let us see one main question. So the question says, fusion power is often described as the holy grail of clean energy, yet it continues to face significant technological, economic and policy hurdles. Discuss the prospects and challenges of fusion power for India in the context of its energy security and climate commitments. So you can attempt the question and write the answer framework in the comment box. Now the next topic that we're going to take up is India may increase energy efficiency target for COP30. India is basically, why this is in news? This is in news because India is preparing to submit its nationally determined contribution for COP30, which is scheduled to be held in Brazil on November 10, 2025. अब NDC क्या represent करता है? NDC is basically representing the voluntary climate action commitments by countries under Paris Agreement. Now there is a question for you people. Please tell me under which COP the Paris Agreement was enacted. Okay. Now, what it is aiming? It is aiming to limit the global warming and reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. And India is likely to revise its energy efficiency targets. Now, what it is signaling? It is basically signaling the India's effort in mitigating the climate change. Now, what is the significance of NDC? What is the significance of nationally determined contribution? So this is basically the backbone of the Paris Agreement, and this reflects the country's commitment towards climate change. All right. Now, what they're focusing mainly on emission reductions, renewable energy adoption, energy efficiency and carbon sinks. Now updating NDCs every 5 years. Why it is important? Because it will ensure countries accountability and can progressively scale up their climate actions. So India's previous NDCs, अब India ने previously NDC में क्या क्या submit किया? So the first thing that they have submitted is in reducing emissions intensity of GDP by 45% of 2005 levels by 2030. Second thing is 50% electricity from non-fossil fuel sources and third is creating a carbon sink of at least 2 billion tons by 2030. ओके अब करंट स्टेटस क्या है? अभी अगर हम करंट स्टेटस की बात करें विच इज एज ऑफ दिसंबर 2023, सो इंडिया हैज रिड्यूस्ड इट्स इंटेंसिटी बाय 33 emission intensity by 33% between 2005 to 19, and it apart from this it has also installed 50% of electricity capacity from non-fossil fuel sources, right? So why updating energy efficiency targets matter? क्यों मैटर करता है? बिकॉज इट विल रिड्यूस द डिपेंडेंसी ऑन फॉसिल फ्यूल्स, राइट? अगर हम फॉसिल फ्यूल पर डिपेंडेंसी रिड्यूस करते हैं देन व्हाट इट विल डू, इट विल रिड्यूस द एमिशंस. अगर एमिशन रिड्यूस होता है देन इट विल सेव द इकोनॉमिक कॉस्ट्स. ऑलराइट, सो दैट इज व्हाई इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. नाउ the COP presidency in Belém, Brazil, what it is emphasizing? It is emphasizing the obstacles that prevented countries from fully achieving their NDCs, making the target revisions crucial. Apart from this, enhanced energy efficiency aligns with India's broader climate change and global commitments. So, with respect to the global climate context, कि अगर हम बात करें सो टेम्परेचर गोल्स, अब पेरिस एग्रीमेंट में क्या लिमिट किया गया था? टू अचीव द ग्लोबल, टू लिमिट द ग्लोबल वार्मिंग टू 2 डिग्री सेल्सियस, आइडियली 1.5 डिग्री सेल्सियस अबव प्री इंडस्ट्रियल लेवल्स. पर अगर हमारा जो अभी करंट एनडीसीज है अगर हम वो फुल्ली अचीव करते हैं सो बाय 2100 द टेम्परेचर विल स्टिल राइज टू 3 डिग्री सेल्सियस. यूरोपियन यूनियन की बात करते हैं. सो यूरोपियन यूनियन दे आर येट टू अनाउंस द 2035 टारगेट्स बट दे आर एमिंग टू अचीव द नेट जीरो बाय 2050 and they have also proposed 90% emissions cut by 2050 as compared to 1990 level. अगर चाइना और ऑस्ट्रेलिया की बात करें सो चाइना NDCs ahead of COP30 is still uncertain और ऑस्ट्रेलिया is aiming to reduce 60 to 70% of 2005 emissions by 2035. What are India's strategic initiatives? So first one is joint credit mechanism. अब joint credit mechanism क्या है? India has signed an agreement with Japan and is exploring collaborations with other countries. So with this respect, it allows carbon credit trading for emission reductions in projects and also incentivizing the investment in clean energy, right? इंडियन कार्बन मार्केट की अगर हम बात करें सो इट इज ऑपरेशनल बाय, इट इज एक्सपेक्टिंग टू बी ऑपरेशनल बाय 2026 एंड देयर आर 13 मेजर सेक्टर्स जस्ट will have mandatory emission intensity targets and it encourages trading of emission reduction certificates, thereby creating a financial incentive for industries so that they can cut emissions. All right, now अब इसमें challenges क्या क्या है? So the first major challenge is adequate finance. क्यों? क्योंकि developed countries are basically hesitating to provide adequate finance to the developing countries. So this is the major challenge. Second is fossil fuels. अब fossil fuels क्या है? Fossil fuels is the major part of the country's development. So it is a key energy source for development and this requires a balanced transition of energy, right? Then practical implementation of JCM and carbon markets. This again may take few years. Now what are the key takeaways? Policy dimensions. अगर इंडिया की बात करें तो India's updated NDCs, what it is reflecting? It is reflecting basically the domestic energy strategy and international climate diplomacy. अगर हम इकोनॉमिक डायमेंशंस की बात करें देन एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी, इट इज इंप्रूविंग कॉस्ट सेविंग्स and also reducing the import dependency and incentivizing the green energy, right? Then environmental dimensions. In terms of environmental dimension, it is supporting renewable energy expansion and with this we can mitigate the climate risks and also reduce the carbon intensity. अगर हम टेक्नोलॉजिकल डायमेंशंस की बात करें so it is encouraging the technological intervention in green energy fields. Then global context, India is aligning itself with the Paris Agreement goals and there has been global efforts like European Union, Australian COP mechanisms, thereby balancing the developmental needs. So India basically anticipated increase in energy efficiency, right? Targets by demonstrating a strategic multidimensional approach to climate action and thereby balancing sustainable development, international obligations and technological innovation. अब इंडिया को क्या चाहिए? इंडिया's role should be a responsible global power. So with this, it can contribute actively to the fight against climate change and also ensure energy security and economic growth. Okay. So with this, let us see one mains question. India is likely to enhance its energy efficiency targets in its updated nationally determined contributions for COP30. Examine the significance of this move in the context of India's climate strategy, sustainable development and international climate diplomacy. Discuss the challenges and opportunities associated with achieving higher energy efficiency targets. So you can attempt this question and write the answer framework in the comment box. Now let us see some prelims pointers. So the first pointer that we're going to talk about is Indian rock python. So it is commonly known as Indian rock python, black-tailed python, Asian rock python. Size क्या है? One of India's largest snakes. It has thick body with yellowish white tan color and dark brown blotches. Behavior क्या है? These are non-venomous, nocturnal, slow-moving, strong climber, swimmer, kills prey by constrictions. Habitat and distribution की अगर हम बात करें, so these are mainly found in grasslands, forests, swamps, rocky foothills, river valleys, and these are found in not only in India but also Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and northern Myanmar. IUCN status, these are near threatened and these are included in Appendix 2 of CITES and Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So what all are the threats? Habitat loss due to human activities and hunting for skin and meat. What all are the conservation efforts that has been made? Protected areas जैसे Moyar Valley in Tamil Nadu is supporting population recovery. Let us see the next pointer. So the next pointer is Betla National Park. Where it is located? It is located in Latehar district, Jharkhand, and it is part of Chota Nagpur plateau. So in map, if we talk, then here it is Betla National Park and it is in close proximity to Palmau Tiger Reserve in Jharkhand. कब established हुआ था? In 1986 and it is the only national park in Jharkhand. Significance क्या है? It is having the core area of Palmau Tiger Reserve, one of India's first tiger reserves under Project Tiger, and it includes Mahundnar Wolf Sanctuary. Vegetation की अगर हम बात करें, so tropical wet evergreen, temperate alpine and mixed deciduous forests are there, and key species include sal, bamboo, mahua, semal and medicinal plants. Fauna जैसे tiger, leopards, wolves, wild dogs जैसे fauna यहाँ पे मिलते हैं. Rivers and scenery की अगर हम बात करें, so North Koel River flows through the park and it forms the waterfall during monsoon. If we talk about the cultural aspect, then tribes like Oraon and Munda are found over there. Latest development, first AI-enabled nature experience center planned to enhance wildlife tourism. All right. Now let us talk about the next pointer. So the next pointer is Impatens Selva Singhi. So there has been a newly identified flowering plant species in the Kudermukh range, Western Ghats, Karnataka at 1630 meter altitudes. All right. It is named after a botany professor from Madras Christian College. What are the unique features? Exceptionally small flowers with proximately lobed wing petals and it supports small insects pollinators. Genus info की अगर हम बात करें, so it is having over 280 taxa in India, mainly in eastern Himalayas and Western Ghats. Endemism and conservation, 200 plus taxa are endemic to India, 130 taxa endemic to Western Ghats, 80% of Western Ghats Impatens taxa are endangered. Let us talk about the next pointer, Adi Yuva Fellowship. So it has been launched by Ministry of Tribal Affairs in partnership with United Nations India. So what is the purpose of this? So purpose is to empower the tribal youth. Tribal youth, how? Why? structured learning, mentorship, and career development. So if we talk about the duration and benefits, so 12-month paid fellowship, monthly allowances, health and life insurance, access to UN or commercial learning platforms are there. This has been integrated with schemes like PMKVY 4.0, NAPS, PM Viksit Bharat Rozgar Yojana. How people are being selected and placed? Competitive selection placements with UN agencies at national, state, and district levels. Next is Adi Karma Yogi Volunteers Program. So this is being supported by UNFPA. Objective, what is the objective? To equip tribal youth as catalysts for grassroots change, and this will strengthen the last mile service delivery. Deployment is in 82 volunteers in 82 blocks across 13 districts of Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. How the engagement has been made? 2-month intensive grassroots work supporting Village Vision 2030 and creating awareness drives, outreach, and improved scheme access. So with this, let us see some prelims question. So the first question is, consider the following statements about the Indian rock python. It is a venomous snake found in India and Southeast Asia. It is listed under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. It kills its prey primarily by constriction. Its habitat includes grasslands, forests, swamps, and river valleys. Which of the statements given above are correct? 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, and 4, 1 and 4 only, all of the above. Next question, which of the following statements about Betla National Park is or are correct? It is located in Jharkhand and forms part of the Palamau Tiger Reserve. The Mahundnar Wolf Sanctuary is located within its boundaries. It is known for tropical wet evergreen, alpine, and mixed deciduous forests. The Ganges River flows through the park. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, 1, 2 and 3 only, all of the above. Third question, consider the following statements regarding Impatinis selvasinghi. It is a newly discovered flowering plant from the Kudermukh region of the Western Ghats. It is named after a renowned Indian ecologist. The genus Impatinis has over 280 taxa in India with a significant proportion endemic to the Western Ghats. Small insects are dependent on this plant for pollination. Which of the statements given above are correct? 1 and 3 only, 1, 3 and 4 only, 2 and 4 only, all of the above. Next question, consider the following statements about the Adi Yoga Fellowship. It is a 12-month paid fellowship for tribal youth supported by the United Nations in India. Fellows receive monthly allowances, insurance benefits, and access to UN and commercial learning platforms. The fellowship is linked to national schemes like PMKVY 4.0, NAPS, and PM Viksit Bharat Rozgar Yojana. Fellows are placed exclusively in tribal development NGOs at the district level. Which of the statements given above are correct? 1, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 2 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, all of the above. Now the last question for the day. Which of the following statements about the Adi Karma Yogi Volunteers Program are correct? It is supported by UNFPA and aims to empower tribal youth as grassroots change agents. Volunteers are deployed for a 2-year engagement across tribal districts in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Activities include supporting Village Vision 2030 awareness drives, outreach, and improving access to schemes. 82 volunteers have been deployed across 82 blocks in 13 districts. Select the correct answer using the code below. 1 and 3 only, 1, 3 and 4 only, 2 and 4 only, all of the above. So I expect all of you to comment the answer in the comment screen, in the comment box. Now, if you have liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe this channel. With this, I am signing off. Take care. Have a nice day. Jai Hind.